So guys, welcome to my review of the 1953, the 31290 Invicta, paying strong homage to the 6204 reference number Rolex from 1953. In this video, you're going to see lots of details. We're going to build the foundations with the history. We're going to move on to stats, specs. We're going to talk about the movement. I've got a time grapher. We're going to see how good this movement is in this piece. There's going to be the loom. There's a loom time-lapse shot. There's going to be outdoor shots, thoughts and conclusion, lots of close-ups, things like that. So you get a good all-round opinion on this piece, and you can buy it again. It's back in stock. As of today, this is January 2021. There was a period of time they were out of stock everywhere. You just couldn't get them. People were flogging them on eBay for triple the price. And they still are, even though they're unaware that you can get them. I got one in 2 days from Invicta Europe for 120 euros, 107 pounds. So get them while you can. I did. So your history lesson for today, guys, is about Invicta Watch Group. How it began in 1837, a Swiss watch company. It was founded by Raphael Picard, nothing to do with Star Trek, unfortunately, in La Chaux-de-Fonds in Switzerland. But it was re-established in 91 when the brand was acquired by an American company, and now their headquarters are in Miami. There's a picture here of their fabulous new building, and I must say, it does look like one of their watch boxes with a car park around it. It's very, very quirky. A lot like some of their watches they make. Here's a picture of something that I found on their European store. Look at this. Look at this. It's crazy. It's mental. But they make it because people do buy it. But I'd say we're a little bit more into watches like this, I'd say. Not that we're watch snobs. We're just maybe not quite so into something as audacious as something covered in SpongeBob SquarePants, for example. But we like looking back over history. And that's what Invicta have done with this model, the 53, because it's paying very strong tribute to the beautiful original Submariner from 53, the 6204 reference number. More of a skin diver, 36mm case size with domed plexiglass, 100 meters water resistance. Didn't have the Mercedes hands yet. This was the first iteration, of course, and what an elegant design. And they paid tribute to that with this Invicta, the 31290, and they've done a great job because they've taken all the design cues from the original and brought it a little bit more into contemporary standards. Obviously, it's a bigger size. It's a 40 case size, and it has flat crystal, but it keeps all the elements of the original intact without being too much of a clone. And I think that it's not been done to death either, because it's the later models. The one's more seen in Dr. No with Sean Connery, his watch that he wore in that one. That's been done a lot more by Invicta themselves with the Pro Diver, for example, and many other brands. We've seen them all. Felida, Parnis, Pagani Design. They've all gone down this road. It's a very popular road to go down because it's such a popular watch. And why not go for something that laid the foundations of the Bond watch for just over £100? And that's where this watch steps in. It's harking back to some of the history, but going a little bit further back. And I think they've done a great job so far. So it's nice that there's a little bit of heritage behind this. Not only the brand, they've gone down an interesting path with this piece. And I'm really happy they brought this back into stock because it was hard to get for a while. This watch has been reviewed before, a long time ago, nearly a year ago, but they were out of stock for ages. They sold like hotcakes. They are back. I got this for just 120 euros, about 107 pounds, all the way from a warehouse somewhere in Europe in 2 days. Free delivery. Happy days. And they were really good with customer service, very quick, very efficient. So that's a good start. And that's another reason why you buy into this. So just over £100. I'm very happy indeed. So let's see what you get for your money with the stats and the specifications. So stats and specs, what do you get with this piece? Well, I'm going to start with the weight of this watch. So without the 3 links taken out, which I did to size this to me, it weighs 150 grams, then sized up to me, 138. So it's a good lightweight. It's very comfortable. Worn this for a day or two. You barely notice it on your wrist. It's really well balanced and good weight distribution on your wrist. The dimensions are the lug-to-lug length of the watch, 48.6. Doesn't wear too tall on the wrist, and the lugs conform nicely, as do the female end links here, which are great. And they are hollow, but they fit really well, and there's no wobble or play in them. You don't really notice that they're hollow, so that's acceptable. So the height of the watch is 13.9. Case diameter is 40, spot on, and the dial is 31.5. So we've got a big, clear, legible dial. The lugs are 20 wide and tapering down to 18 at the clasp, which jumps back up to 20, where it's all pressed clasp, which is acceptable. It's not sharp or scratchy anywhere. It's just feels a little bit cheap, but I haven't had any hair pulling or snagging as I've worn this, so it's actually very comfortable. So I will forgive it that, as long as it wears well. And we have 4 micro adjusts on here, which is really good. So it's a really comfortable watch to wear. I'm going to show it on my wrist to show you how this 40mm diameter watch wears on my 7-inch wrist. As you see, I'd say it's spot on. This is my sweet spot in size, or a bit less. I do like a 38 dive watch as well, but this is a 40. It does still work. Very smart. So everything that is metal is 316L stainless steel. The bezel insert is aluminium, which is in keeping with the original Rolex this is paying tribute to, which is good. It gives it a lovely warm, soft finish, and they've done a good job of matching that with the satin finish dial there, which is really nice, with the gilt track around here, the text on the dial, and then the gold hands. Really nice. Really, it gives it that vintage aesthetic, definitely. So all the lume in the hands, the hour and the minute hand, and in the indices is Tritnite, which is Invicta's lume, which isn't very good. I'll show you a time lapse in a short while of how bad it really is, but it's not good. And the name Tritnite, you've got to be careful how you say that. You've got to be very precise. Then the bezel, that's 120 click, got a nice feel to it. That it was very stiff when I very first got this watch, but it's loosened up almost immediately, and it's very precise, no rock or backplay in terms of how bezel action feels should be. This is definitely acceptable at this price point, and I've just noticed ever so slightly it doesn't quite line up spot on. I'm just going to do this by eye. Nope, it looks okay on camera, but sometimes it looks ever so slightly like it's half a click out. But overall, everything seems to line up. But there was one thing I did notice as well, just while we're here talking about the dial and alignment. Look at the inner gold gilt seconds track here. See the gap between the gold track there and the inner rehort? It's almost touching it. Whereas this side, you can see a lot more black. So the devil's in the detail. So the dial's almost like it's half a mil shifted to the right, and that's probably why sometimes it ever so slightly looks like it's not quite aligning. But I'm just being ultra picky here to show you the differences in quality control. But everything else feels great. Like I said, the bezel action's good. You've got your 6.5mm screw down crown, 200 meters water resist. It's screwed down, ghost position for date, because this has got the NH35 in the back here. You can see exhibition case back, screw down. And that's got a decorated rotor. It's a Malaysian-made Seiko movement. It's a 3 Hz, 21,600 beats per hour movement, 42-hour power reserve. And I've got a time grapher shot coming up soon after this bit to show you how good this movement actually is in terms of not just its accuracy, but how healthy is it. And that could dictate how old this movement may actually be, or it may just need a bit of a service. But that's not something I think we'll go into too much detail quite yet. So this is mineral crystal, and just to verify that, I'm going to use my new gadget. I haven't got all my gadgets out for this segment today because some of them need a bit of a rest. So as you can see, 0 reading for sapphire. So this is the mineral that they stated it was, as is the case back. So at least it'd be a shame they're not. Be nice if they gave us a surprise and accidentally dropped a nice bit of sapphire in there. But at this price point, you know, I know other brands do it, but the good thing about having mineral clarity base, it's really crystal clear, and you don't need an AR coating because sapphire is known for being a lot more reflective. So this almost looks like it hasn't got glass in it sometimes, which makes just the dial really look very attractive. Ultimately, yes, I know it's going to be more prone to scratches, but being a vintage style watch, I think we can get away with that. Maybe add a bit of patina, a bit of a classic look to it. So we have covered the stats and the specs, the dimensions, etc. Let's roll on to the next bit. I'm going to show you how healthy this movement is with the time graph, and then we'll roll smoothly straight onto the lume, and you can see how bad that actually is. Let's take a look. So I think you've got a lot of details there. Let's relax and just enjoy a bit of outdoor shots. You're wearing this watch out and about, you get to see how smart it looks with a bit of natural light. I do hope you enjoy. So, final thoughts and opinions without me waffling too much, because I'm going to get to the point. I really like this watch. I think for the money, £100-ish, 107, it is fantastic. You get something with really good overall fit and finish, nothing drastically concerning. A few areas that aren't, amazing, such as the brushing's a little bit coarser on the top here, but it's really smooth on the sides. The slight dial misalignment, it's slightly too far to the right. The loom is average. But I'm being honest here, all of that kind of goes to the wayside when you just wear it. It's really comfortable. I know the press clasp in that is just not great, but it doesn't ever feel sharp or scratchy. I've got a very sensitive underside here, and I know it's really comfortable. I would say don't always judge a watch by its specs alone, because if you like the look of it and it makes you happy when you look at it and think that's really nice, that's a big box ticked for me. And that for me is what this does so well, as a really good homage to a watch that isn't very commonly homaged. This doesn't have the Mercedes hands, it's got a different bezel insert, we don't have the crown guards. It's just lovely to see an homage that's different. So my initial question was, is this the best budget homage? For some of you, yes, it would be. For me, it's a real contender. That's something I haven't 100% decided yet. But there are many reasons why I like this watch. And that is, I do like the movement. I've always been a fan of the NH35. It's an okay one in this one. It's fairly healthy, but it's keeping good time. I just like the look of this watch and the feel. It just feels right on your wrist. It's one of those watches which you could say it's bland just by looking at it, but it's good they've done other versions with different colour bezel inserts. I'm going to check one of those out. I've got one of them on the way. I'll review that. But in the meantime, fit and finish, it's decent. The price is acceptable. It's a watch you can slap on and wear every day and enjoy it, and it's not like all the other homages. So it's nice to have something refreshing. So I would say this watch is definitely worth your attention for a collection, for a more vintage homage, and it's a nice step in a good direction for Invicta. Not some of the things that really affect their image, but ultimately makes them incredibly popular worldwide. This watch really suits us, I think, that want something a little bit more understated. But if you want something more audacious, they do that. But for those of us that have a bit of more of a vintage vibe, this is a great buy. I've been thoroughly impressed, and I hope you've enjoyed this review. And if you have, don't forget to subscribe. I'd love to hear your comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. In the meantime, bye for now.